The Brewhouse was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery. But the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewhouse.com.
Hello everyone and welcome into the Rochester Press Box here from the mighty Genesee Brewhouse, where you can get a 12-4 sale on draft. Certainly among, if not the best beer in Rochester. Discuss.
There we go. There it is.
Kevin Oklobzija back with us. Kevin, nice to have you.
Good to be
You
here.
seem to make a regular appearance when we're here at the Brewhouse. I'm impressed by that.
I don't know what that means, but, well, you know.
Good timing.
Mike back from the Combine.
Yep,
We'll ask
good to
you
be
for a
back.
story later.
Okay.
And in full gear,
Well, we're
Matt
caught up,
Duffy.
and NBA playoffs are right around the corner. My
Oh,
favorite,
the three teams that could win.
my favorite of all my NBA jerseys, my Shaquille O'Neal Boston Celtics jersey.
Do I have to kill him already being wrong about the NBA?
Two teams?
No, I mean,
No.
Mike's right. I mean, the competition this season is the best maybe it's been in 25 years.
Very good. East is going to be really good.
There's two teams that can win, and they're both in the West. Houston, Golden State, no one else can win.
Okay.
Let's talk about the impending free agency in the NFL. We've seen, especially because we pay attention to the Buffalo Bills, them approach things in different ways. Well, what's the best way to approach the season, do you think?
It's a good question. I mean, how much can you rebuild your roster in free agency? You can fill a hole or two. There used to be, some sports, there used to be you can just rebuild and you'd be great the next year based on what you signed. Now, so many guys like hockey are locked up early and for long term that I don't know what impact those guys make. Your backup fullback or your complement running back that the Bills signed.
I think you have parallel plans going. I think they have a plan to do something big in the draft. But at the same time, you have to have another plan in case that doesn't work or the price is too high. And you talk about free agency. There's free agency. Go get Kirk Cousins, give him $30 million a year. There's free agency and go get Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. You can fill holes. You can build your team. Doesn't have to be the guys that are, Vontae Davis may end up being a really solid pickup, one-year veteran guy, as opposed to going and give big money for another guy or re-signing your own guy. That's why I say I think there's two different ways to approach free agency. But I do think they have actually parallel plans going on right now. One to go big, one to try to stick with what you have and try to build from within.
To the going big point, though, I will say this. I don't like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. I think someone's going to grossly overpay him. That being said, if hypothetically the Bills were to go out and fill their biggest hole with Kirk Cousins, all of that draft capital you have is now yours to go plug holes. So you pay a ton of money and you're going to have cap problems down the road, but you would have so many young guys on rookie deals that wouldn't really affect your cap all that much. I think the quickest way to get better might be to go spend big money on a quarterback instead of drafting and waiting 2 or 3 seasons.
What Bills fan wouldn't take win now as opposed to misery when the cap problems hit?
But that's the problem. That's the problem. Is Kirk Cousins win now? Because I don't think he is.
We're talking hypothetical.
Sure,
Kirk Cousins has no interest in coming to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the plan that's going to happen.
But let's say it's Case Keenum, whoever's out there, you're going to go spend money on.
Yeah, but that's big money, and you have to look at that as an asset too. That cap money and all being spent puts you in a tough spot. Yes, you draft and you try to get a bunch of young players, but trying to fill that way is dangerous. Look at the teams that are chasing, and maybe we'll even, by the time this airs, we won't know for sure, but the idea that the Jets, who are building, and Minnesota, who's really close. They seem to be the two teams that are closest trying to make a move. There's different reasons to spend that big money in free agency. I think the Bills, again, are not that close. I mean, they weren't that good last year and they made the playoffs, but at the same time, can you really build until you find the quarterback?
Is there a right, just quickly to throw this at the end, a right and a wrong way to do this? Because every team seems to take a different approach.
If there was a right way, everyone would be doing it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what's the most brilliant part about sports is some guys get lucky, they find a way that works. Other teams can't do the same thing.
Yeah, I think the knee-jerk thing is like, well, do what the Patriots do. But the Patriots have Tom Brady as a safety net.
Right.
They can make all kinds of mistakes, and you don't notice them because they got him.
Yeah, and he is one of those guys, maybe not quite, Eli's not quite there. Roethlisberger is that way where you've built 3 different franchises around that one franchise quarterback. you keep building the team because your number one spot is settled.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We are at the Genesee Brewhouse, and we'll talk more about the Buffalo Bills next.
The Press Box, brought to you in part by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Call 262-COMP, today.
Welcome back to the Genesee Brewhouse. This is the Rochester Press Box, and this portion brought to you by Connors and Ferris. We usually talk Buffalo Bills. I want to get your first impressions or your lasting impressions on your combine visit last week.
It's getting bigger and bigger every year. There's more media there. And again, I say to you guys all the time, I think if you look at it, it's sort of a league meeting thing, the start of free agency, because it absolutely starts. They have all these other dates. Believe me, it's going on. And this is where I think teams are doing a lot of things. Like I think the Bills were out testing the market. If we keep Tyrod on the roster, what will you give us for it? And I think that's going to determine what they end up doing with Tyrod on the roster this year, whether they keep him to trade him or whether they cut him loose. So it was interesting. Got a chance to sit down with both Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. First thing I said to Beane is, are you here to get a quarterback? And, he gives you we're here to find good players. I go, well, if you don't find a quarterback this year, are we back in a year and you're saying the same thing? We have a good roster. We got to try to get a quarterback. So that part to me is fun. But my lasting impression is they are not sold at all on Tyrod Taylor. I think he's gone, and they will make a big effort to try to get one of the top quarterbacks.
You know what? You again, going back to the combine, I'm surprised. With all the places you go, this is one of your favorite trips?
Well, it is. I think it's because everybody from the league is there, and they're all in, even Belichick is in a good mood. He went on the NFL Network for 5 minutes telling them what an awesome job they did and how much he watches their coverage. It was like he was auditioning for a job when he's done coaching.
Oh, conspiracy theory. Not again.
Really? Oh, there we go. You think he needs a job?
Breaking news, Mike Catalana just said that Belichick's going to retire and join the NFL Network.
For the NFL Network.
Wait a minute, he was going to Green Bay.
I'm telling you, I thought that was still out there.
I don't think he made that one public. I think that's one that we just have between
My
ourselves.
thought was that he was going to bounce, leave New England, and come back next year at Green Bay. Who knows? It might happen in a year. Mark that down.
I like
it might
the
happen
idea.
in a year.
Pat, the two schools of thought is, fill the roster with the 2 draft picks and sign a quarterback or move up. What school are you in?
I want to stay put, and I think that a guy's going to fall to you. I mean, look at the 1983 draft, and I reference this all the time. It's the greatest first-round quarterback draft of all time. 50% of those draft picks were misses. And the back end of that round produced some of your best quarterbacks. Jim Kelly was the second first-round pick by the Buffalo Bills. They took a tight end out of Notre Dame.
Tony Hunter.
There you go. And then Dan Marino was the last quarterback picked in the first round. So I don't think moving up guarantees you anything. I don't think that any of these guys are head and shoulders above the rest. And to be honest with you, if a guy like Lamar Jackson falls to you at 21 or 22, it's way better than mortgaging a first this year, another first, a first next year, and a third.
Haven't there been advances in scouting and testing that now when you're drafting and moving up, you have a better idea what you're taking?
Funny you say that. No, there haven't. I read an article the other day that said NFL GMs today are no better at missing busts in the first round than they were 40 years ago before they had tapes and advanced metrics and all this stuff. I mean, Mike, it's all about system. It's all about where a guy's head's at, where he's drafted. It's about where guys are playing around him. I mean, you could rattle off 1,000 guys. Steve Young, Kurt Warner, Joe Montana when he goes from San Francisco to Kansas City. It's all about where they are and what system they're in and how comfortable they feel.
Yeah, we went Wentz and Goff, 1-2 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and
nobody seemed decided on it, but those two guys have done okay.
And then last year I'm at the Combine, and the whole talk was there isn't a quarterback in this draft that deserves a first-round pick. And then Deshaun Watson comes in the league and is tearing it up. And we don't know what Trubisky's going to do, but I would look at people and say, are you in a better spot in Buffalo or Chicago with your quarterback? Right? I mean, I would think that Chicago now, making the change at coach, is going to feel a little bit better about the quarterback they have, at least a young guy to build forward. And Deshaun Watson, when he's healthy, is going to be a stud playing. And Kansas City thinks they have the right guy in Mahomes. Again, that is anecdotal, who traded up when the Bills could have taken him. Look, you're the Bills.
Who did you like?
From the Combine?
Yeah, the quarterback.
I'm very intrigued by Josh Allen, only because he has the size, he's got the arm, he's got everything. But that guy needs coaching, and he needs the right system. And he may not be the guy that week 1 is the Bills starter, and he looks great from the time he takes the field, but he may be long-term the best guy. but he may be the guy the Browns take number 1. That's the problem, is we don't know what anybody's going to do.
I just think it's great the Bills actually sent you there to scout. I think that's really solid.
I have my opinions.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We're at the Genesee Brew House. This portion brought to you by Connors and Ferris. Like it or not, it's next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House. Like it or not, Jack Purificato, giving up Section 5 basketball.
Well, Jack has done a great job
Not
there.
that you would like that.
Well, here's the idea: is the man has done a really good job, and it's not for money, it's not for anything. They do get those cool green jackets when they decide to go wear them out there. But he's also got a crew of guys and women who have volunteered their time to Section 5 basketball. It's a thankless job in some ways. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of work, especially when we have things like, when the weather jumps in, or Bruce Springsteen was taking over the Blue Cross Arena, they got to make changes.
When some parent gets a lawyer to fight a referee's ruling.
Yeah, well, that was on the girls' side, but yes, it can happen there. Well, they've dealt with
that
that
opens the gate, though. It's a
It
good
does.
time to say, yeah.
Jack has done a really good job and deserves to back away a little bit after a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's always nice to kind of recognize those guys. There's a lot of them in every sport.
Let me tell you,
and
they
do a lot
run
of
that
stuff.
tournament really, really well. And other people around the state who've coached in other places say Section 5 really is the benchmark of what you do for basketball.
Like it or not, back to football, the franchise tag in general.
I get the idea originally, what it was supposed to do, but I think it only hurts the league now. Like, for example, the Rams had to make a decision whether or not to pay Sammy Watkins top 5 wide receiver money. How many guys do you have? I'm talking legitimate NFL teams that believe they have anybody that's in the top 5 paid-wise on their roster. Le'Veon Bell's the exception, right? Can you think of another guy where a team could definitely say this is a top 5 player and he's coming up for a contract negotiation? I think all it does is it hurts the players, definitely, and it causes unneeded drama where the drama shouldn't be. I don't like it. I think that movement of players isn't a terrible thing for this league, and if these teams took care of the players better up front, maybe the need for the franchise tag wouldn't be there.
That makes a good point, because if you take the tag out, I think there'll be more legitimate dialogue, because the player knows at a certain point they're going to just, and they use the phrase, slap the tag on me, because then it puts things in a certain limbo that can go on forever. And Bell's will probably go right up to the start of the regular season.
But it also artificially inflates franchises or salaries for players, because these guys are saying, well, I got top 5 money. This guy, I'm better than him. And it just keeps putting money on top of money.
Plus, it seems like top average of the top 5 of your position doesn't seem like a real bad deal to me.
In that 1 year, it's not, and it's a really good deal. But you're also, it's the control that the team has on you without making the long-term commitment.
Kevin, like it or not, Ed Hochuli has retired.
Fine. Okay, he's gone. But he was sort of the face of referees, and for the NFL,
He was the guns of referees.
and he showed that, okay, these aren't just some, old guys who are in an office and on Sunday they come out and try to run around. He was definitely fit, athletic, and he had a presence. And in the NHL, Macaulay is a guy who people know because of his personality on the microphone when he calls a penalty or says, it's a goal, whatever. Sometimes you need that. The going back to the Ben Dreith, giving him the business. The NFL for so long has been so regimented and so everything has got to be perfect that I like the idea they're letting personalities come out, even in the referee, if that's fine.
I hate him. I hate Kerry Frazier. I hate everybody that goes out of their way. Crawford, another one in the NBA. do your job. There's enough entertainment here for
Did
me.
you like Steve Palermo as an umpire?
No, I just do your thing.
He was the best there was, and he did his thing.
Okay, but I'm
why
not buying
couldn't
it-
he have a personality?
I'm not buying a ticket for you, bruh. I'm buying a ticket to see this game.
And he's
We
part
are
of it.
talking about it.
I have to apologize. I said to Ed Hochuli, when he was going to do the NFC Championship game, my thought was he's going to call 1,000,000 penalties and be on the mic the whole time. That game was as clean of a game as you get. I think there was only 4 total penalties in the whole game, and the Eagles won, by the way. But I thought he called a really, really good game against the Vikings, by the way.
This is the Rochester Press Box presented by the
Were they
Genesee
there?
Brew House. We're at the Brew House, and Unfinished Business is next.
Here is the MVP Experience Stat of the Week, brought to you by Sport Clips, where it's good to be a guy. No appointment ever needed.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Dunkin' iced coffees are $2 from 2 to 6 p.m. That's right. All sizes, all freshly brewed, all with that signature smooth Dunkin' taste. Power up with a Dunkin' iced coffee for $2. America runs on Dunkin'.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House. Unfinished Business brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Pat.
We were just talking about Section 5 sports, and here in the greater Rochester area, we have one of the most unique sports programs in the country. At one time, it was the only one in the country, if I'm not mistaken, now one of 2 schools, Aquinas, that has a boxing program. The Aquinas Mission bouts were last week, and of course, they raised money for the African Catholic missions, which was absolutely fantastic. And it was a great show for absolutely everybody. If you go and you watch these kids fight, both boys and girls, it's something that you're not going to forget. You don't see it all that often, but I mean, I was a part of that boxing program when I was at Aquinas, believe it or not, based on the body that I have now. And I thank God every single day when I go to work and I have to bust my you-know-what to get jobs done and work with the people that I have to work with, that I went through that boxing program. Because I'm going to be honest with you, of all the sports I played, and I played pretty much all of them, nothing was harder than boxing. And there was nothing I loved more than boxing. And I think a lot of that is because of the folks they have at Aquinas that take care of the kids. Dom Arioli's been there forever. One of my favorite human beings in the world. He's about that tall. I've never heard him raise his voice ever. But he somehow took some busted kid from Gates with no work ethic and turned him into a human being. And you see that over and over and over again coming out of Aquinas. So next year when you get a chance, whether it's the preliminary bouts against the school from Cincinnati, Moeller that comes in, or the mission bouts, grab yourself a ticket, sit back, and enjoy the show. Because it's more than just a fight.
You know, part of the program, too, is the whole preparation. Like, how long do they instruct you to get to that date?
So every year, I think it was 10 weeks worth of fighting, and it's intense training every night. You'd have to leave school and come back because they didn't have the gym space. So we'd be back at 5, 7 o'clock at night, boxing, doing our thing.
I say I'm really proud of you.
Why is
for
that?
No, for the boxing. I think that was great, and and still living with all the damage that was done.
I know, my eyes are so messed up. You look halfway attractive.
It took a while to get there. Kevin.
How do I follow the punch-drunk Aquinas
You'll
crap?
find a way.
So we're staying on the Section 5 bandwagon or topic. How have we come to the point where a player is ejected, right or wrong, referees call in a basketball game, and their parents take it to court? Hire a lawyer, get a judge to hear their case, and file an injunction. It's a bad, bad precedent. The umpires, the referees, whatever the sport, they don't get paid a lot of money. Now all of a sudden, just like pro sports, every call they're going to wonder, oh boy, they're going to want to overturn that? Am I going to have to go to court to testify? It's not right. Let the players, let them play. It's been a pretty good system for, 150 years, however long we've had high school athletics. It's worked for a long time. Keep the courts out of it, please.
It's like the 3 ingredients that'll really poison the pot, right? When you got sports, parents, and lawyers in the same bucket.
Very bad.
Question, we've had high school athletics for 150 years?
Well, Close.
Give or take 80 years.
Hoosiers, how long?
Hoosiers, there we go.
That's
There
where it
we
began.
go. All right. Hey, so we've been talking about the Bills and the draft, and I get asked a lot since just going out to the combine, what do you think they're going to do? Where are they going to be? And it's amazing to hear fans go in all different directions. Sign the veteran, get this guy, get that guy. But the one narrative I think that's false is sitting back, taking a guy later and thinking that it works. They are the outliers, not going after the guys in the first round. We had a stretch where it was really bad, where coaches, GMs, everybody did a poor job. That's when the Jake Lockers of the world got drafted in the first round. But look in recent years, you got Goff, you got Wentz. Now it looks like Deshaun Watson, maybe Mahomes. Those type of players have really excelled. Plus, Winston, Mariota, these guys are all full-time starters and a chance to be really good. Look, I'm not saying it's a guarantee to take anybody, but there's 6 quarterbacks who look like they're going to go high in the draft, and I'm going to tell you right now, at least 3 of them will be really good, 2 of them will be starters, and 1 of them is going to be a total bust. That's just an anecdotal thing, and I threw that out there. If I'm the Bills, I'm going for 1 of them. They got to figure out who it is. But the way of sitting back or signing marginal veterans hasn't worked for 20 years. Let's try something different.
Well, you were at the Combine scouting. In one word, who's the bust?
The bust out of that group, I think it's going to be Sam Darnold. I'm not a fan of USC quarterbacks, but I can have my mind changed.
Unfinished Business brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. You have a parting shot?
Well, no, I just think he's got a future
Really?
here. Why get on a TV going to scouting?
Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week in the Rochester Press Box.